This is the Ballista, Spartus' latest paddle. Spartus first came onto the pickleball scene with their affordable Gen 1 carbon fiber paddle, the Gladius. The Gladius isn't anything special or new, but it's a solid paddle I've reviewed before that performs just as well as the pricier carbon fiber paddles like the Diadem Warrior Edge or the Carbon 1. Because of this, I had always associated the Spartus brand with just being a cheaper clone paddle company. Now with the Ballista, Spartus has spent lots of time and money on R&D to create a unique paddle for the current pickleball market that I think is a really great addition. The Ballista is a thermoform unibody paddle with an edgeless design and a hole at the throat. While the hole does look like a gimmick, it does serve two purposes on the Ballista. For starters, it makes the paddle quicker to swing by reducing drag, but the main purpose is to reduce the overall weight of the paddle so they can keep it at 8 ounces. By having that section of the paddle removed, the total weight of the paddle can be lighter and more weight can be distributed elsewhere. The two locations are the edges, where extra weight is added to compensate for the lack of the edge guard, and the honeycomb core itself. The Ballista uses 6mm diameter cells in their honeycomb core instead of the 8mm ones you see in most paddles, which increases the core weight and density to improve the paddle stability. As for the rest of the Ballista specs, it's an elongated paddle with a curved shape at the top, with a length of 16.4 inches and 7.5 inches in width. The core thickness is listed at 15.5 millimeters, and the handle is 5.5 inches long. Now we have to talk about the handle more, because on the website you'll see that there are now two handle thickness options. The original production model that they had is the larger 4.33 version. This one is very large and blocky, and I do not recommend this unless you have large hands and don't mind how it feels. The blocky shape makes it hard for you to tell where the paddle positioning is in your hand, and for most people, I recommend going with a 4.125 handle, which is the same size you'll see on other paddles on the market, like the Vatic Pro V7 or the 6-0 Double Black Diamond. It's always easier to start with a thinner handle option and add overgrips as needed. When the Ballista first released, there was a lot of criticism about the 4.33 handle, but Spartus did a great job in listening to the negative reviews and quickly adjusted their production models to have this new handle circumference option. Now that we have all the specs out of the way, let's go into how the Ballista fits into the thermoform paddle market. For starters, the edgeless design and throat hole make it one of the quickest thermoform paddles out there, and the paddle feels great in firefights at the kitchen. They list the swing weight at 110, which is on par with some of the 14mm thermos, while being thicker at over 15mm. The power, on the other hand, is on the weaker side, which can be a plus or minus depending on what you're looking for. You can't generate as much power on baseline drives, and the pop is also on the softer side, but what you do gain is more control on drops and dinks that you don't get with other thermos. Because the Ballista comes light and quick, it's one of the most customizable paddles out there, and you can easily tailor it to your liking with lead tape. For now, I have added an overgrip and 0.1 ounces of lead tape on all four corners of the paddle for a total of 0.5 ounces, and I didn't find the swing weight to be too negatively impacted because the paddle was already quick to begin with. There are several other different customizations I've seen, like lead tape in the throat hole or the handle itself, but for now I'm happy with my current setup. I actually think that the Ballista is a paddle that really needs lead tape to perform to its full potential. Because of the low swing weight and edgeless design, the paddle isn't very stable, and this is very noticeable on blocks and resets. While I don't think the Ballista has as good of a sweet spot compared to the Gen 2 thermos, I do think it has a better sweet spot than all the other edgeless paddles I've played with. The extra perimeter weighting and denser core definitely makes the sweet spot noticeably better than other edgeless paddles like the Power Air or the gearboxes. The addition of lead tape increases the stability and sweet spot even more than those paddles, and it also gives the paddle that extra bit of power and pop to be a bit more deadly at the net. For the spin, the Ballista doesn't use the same raw carbon fiber surface like all the other thermoform paddles. They mentioned that doing this with an edgeless design would have marked up the price even higher, and they actually found better results with their current setup. While they do still use a carbon fiber Toray T700 surface, Instead of having texture applied from a peel-apply resin that you see in raw carbon fiber paddles, they use a combo of epoxy resin and granule paint. I don't think the spin is lacking compared to other thermoform paddles, but paint grit has been notorious for wearing off quickly on paddles like the Diadem Warrior and the Franklin Signature. Spartus has claimed that their paint grit can last longer than the raw carbon fiber options, but this will be something I would need more time to test. For now though, it definitely is a superior paint grit to what you see on older paddles, as I haven't noticed the grit wearing off after a few weeks of play. Overall, the Ballista brings a fast, edgeless control paddle to the thermoform market. I would say it's in between the Selkirk Labs 003 and the Power Air. It's quick to swing and edgeless like them, but is in between the two in terms of its power. While the spin is also comparable to them and you still need to add lead tape to the Ballista, it has a better sweet spot and overall feel than both. Also, the Ballista is a significantly cheaper paddle at $160, though this drops down to $145 after applying the discount code here. And as shown in the paddle unboxing at the beginning, it also comes with a free paddle cover and tape to protect the edges. The Spartus Ballista is a great option for people looking for more control in a thermoform paddle and who want more speed without having to switch to a thinner 14mm core. It's definitely a very solid option at a great price point, and a paddle I recommend people to check out.